Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah with Fisher Price Ranch. First off, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So we are officially 1 day away from babies, and I've already started baby watch. I always start 2 days before their due date. So we're going to go check them out this morning. It is a whopping 17 degrees. So it's a little bit chilly out here, but let's go see what's going on. Hi, girls. Hey, Zara. All right. Zara's got to say hi. Hi, Zara. How you doing? Huh? How you doing? You being a good girl. She's getting a nice big old baby bump. Ain't ya? Yeah. Good girl. Alright, so our two first does that are due is supposed to be Tipsy here, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe she returned to heat and I didn't know it and got rebred. She is pregnant. I feel baby's kicking in her, but for her to be due tomorrow, she just does not look like it. And let me show you why. Hi, Tipsy. Hi, Tipsy. How you doing? You're okay. Good girl. She has no udder, and around her tail, you can actually tell it is not hollow. You would see it hollowing out on the sides of her tail. I'll show you another doe that is much closer, and to give you an idea of the difference. Hi, Savannah. How you doing, pretty girl? Hi. Look at that face. You're so cute, and you know it. Alright, Capers here is due in 3 days, and as you can see, she has a really big udder. And if you look around her tail, see how it's indented on both sides? That's because she's softening around her tail. So that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm thinking Tipsy may still have another 3 weeks to go, and we're not going to be expecting kids from her just yet, I guess. So Truffles here is the other one that's supposed to be due tomorrow, and she is looking pretty close. You can see she has an udder. She's the first freshener, so her udder is not going to be huge. She is nice and hollow around her tail, but if you look at her belly, it's still pretty rounded at the top. She is not dropped yet. So that isn't always a complete sign, because I've had does that were nice and rounded like her mother, and they went into heat into labor, and there were too many kids in there to drop anywhere. So what I'm looking for is, I feel for the ligaments, and she doesn't like it, but I could feel them. So I do not believe she will kid today. Here's my Bonnie girl. She's still letting me pet her. Aren't you, baby? She's getting really good. Normally she would get up and run away from me. Good girl. Good girl. I can't wait to see her kids. She always gives us beautiful kids, like Savannah. Alright, well, since it does not look like we're going to have any kids today, I decided that we'll do something to pass the time. And we're going to reuse some of my pig lard that we had rendered before. It's getting pretty old. It's starting to actually get a little chunky, and I don't really want to use it. We have our goat lard that we've been using that's nice and fresh. I'll kind of show you guys the difference in what we're looking at, but I'll show you a good way to use it up without having to throw it away. Alright, so what we're going to be using our lard for is to actually make suet, which is this kind of stuff. If you guys have ever bought this stuff to feed birds, it costs 99 cents up to $3 for a block of this. And I bought them because I haven't made any suet yet. I normally make it every winter. So we have our lard in here, and this is our pig lard that we had. The other ingredients that we use is peanut butter. Doesn't matter what kind, chunky, smooth, doesn't matter. And then our last ingredient is cornmeal. And then you can add any type of bird seed, nuts, fruits, whatever you want to add extra. And so I've noticed if you guys feed wild birds, if you buy the bird seed mix, they waste a lot of it. And so over the years I've realized that every single bird will eat black oil sunflower seeds, so that's all I ever buy anymore, and I never have waste. So I've actually put out some black oil sunflower seeds. I'm looking out my window, and I'll show you guys real quick what they're doing. So this is out my dining room window, and I have my bird feeders out there. You can see the birds out there on the ground. And then I have a feeder full of black oil sunflower seeds there. You see quite a few birds in there. We also have another feeder over here with lots of black oil sunflower seeds. So they're going nuts over it. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys kind of the difference in what I'm looking at in my lard. This is our goat lard that I rendered. We put it in a jar. You could see it. It looks nice and smooth. It stays together really well. I have the jar tipped, and you can see it's not falling down or anything. Our pig lard that we've had for quite a few years now, we had it in a bucket, which was probably our first mistake because it doesn't seal as well as a jar does. But if you look down inside there, it moves around. It's not hard like a normal lard. Let me get a spoon and I'll show you guys. So lard is normally hard. You have to really scoop it out with like a metal spoon out of the jar. This stuff, if you look at it, it is chunky and drippy, and so I just don't like the way that it looks. And it does have a slightly different smell. It doesn't smell bad, but it's something that I don't want to use for my own personal cooking, but I don't want it to go to waste. Alright, so I'm going to leave all the lard in the bucket. And what we're going to do now, I'm trying to make it to where you guys can see this. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add in our peanut butter. So we're just going to add in however much we want. I usually do quite a bit because we want to thicken up the lard. And birds love peanuts, so the smell attracts them. So we're going to add in what's left of this jar, and then I have 2 more smaller jars, and we're going to add all of this in. Alright, now that we have our peanut butter in, we're going to mix it until it's well blended. Alright, so now it's well blended. It all looks like peanut butter. We're going to add in our cornmeal. So cornmeal, you're just going to add it by how much you feel. So we're going to add in a whole bag because there's quite a bit in here. And we're going to mix it. And what we're trying to do is make a really thick dough. You don't want it to be too runny to where it'll melt if you use this stuff in the summertime. But you don't want it too thick to where it's too hard for the birds to eat it. And then here comes a lot of mixing. And as you can see, we're definitely going to have to add quite a bit more cornmeal. It's definitely a lot thicker, but it's still runny. Alright, so we're at the point where it's like a thick goo, I guess. So now we're going to add in our sunflower seeds before we make it into dough, because it's easier to mix. Right now it's thick enough that the seeds won't just all fall to the bottom. So we're going to add in our seeds, and then we'll add in more cornmeal. And you can add in as little or as much as you want. Alright, so my seeds are mixed in well. I added quite a bit of seeds in there, so it keeps the birds busy. So now we're going to add in more cornmeal to make it more like dough. Alright, so we're at the point of thickness where I can actually pick it up, and I should be able to mold it. So now I'm going to leave it in the bucket, and I'll just take out what I need. But I'm going to reuse my peanut butter jars and put this in there, and then I can put a string around the peanut butter jars and hang those out in the trees. Now this can also be used for the chickens, so we'll probably give them some in a bowl. It's got some fat in there, which is going to be good to keep them warm in the wintertime. But that is how we make bird suet. Alright, so we used our peanut butter jars, so we've got one there. I had one up there, but I broke the string already. Figures. So I set it there on the pond. And then the other one I have hanging right here. So I made it to where there's a branch so the birds can stand on the branch and reach the suet. Real quick while I'm out here, our pond is currently frozen. And if you guys did not know this, if you look close, there's one of our goldfish. And it's frozen solid in the ice. So as long as the ice is not broken, the fish will survive. Goldfish can reduce their heartbeat down to once every couple of minutes, I think it is. And so they don't need to eat or anything, and they'll actually survive the winter frozen solid in the ice. So once they thaw out, they'll slowly raise their heartbeat and come back to life. So that's pretty cool. I've seen it happen with our goldfish, so we weren't too worried about them.
There you go, chickens. There you go.
We have a winner. Alright, you guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.